This is Eric with Chaotic Goods. Today's video we're taking a look at 4 different types of oversleeves that you can use to protect your waifus. Now, we're going to take a look at 2 very popular brands and then one off-brand that I would say is actually the most popular out of the bunch, and then a brand that you may have not heard before unless you've watched some of my videos in the past. But these are the 4 best options that I had available to me, so I wanted to take a look at them and show you which one is actually worth your money. Is it going to be the DragionShields, the KMC card barriers, GameGenic sleeves, or wrappers? Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so for starters, we're going to take a look at the DragionShield clear outer sleeves. Now, for this, you are getting 100 matte outer sleeves, and it's gonna cost you about $14, give or take where you're buying them from. I went to my local game store. They were $14.50 with tax. Amazon has them at about 13 bucks. So give or take about $14 rounding up, right? Now, the bonus here is you're getting 100 sleeves. The other sleeves that we're gonna review in this video are 60, 50, and 50, which for the price of those sleeves, you might just be better off going with DragionShields, especially if you are, sleeving 60 card decks, 80 card decks, 100 card decks. This is going to be the most bang for your buck because the other ones are a little bit more expensive if you buy multiples. So, if you're buying 2 of the KMCs, that's going to be about $16 for 100. So it's really up to you on where you're spending your money. But this video is just basically going to tell you what I think is the best for your money. So getting 100 is a pretty good deal, especially if you're triple sleeving commander decks, or you have 60 card decks like in Grand Archive or something, and you really want to sleeve those with outer sleeves. Now, this is designed for triple sleeving based on what they have here on the box, and other than that, it is a clear transparent back and a matte textured back. Now, I have 2 piles here. This pile are DragionShield sleeves. Now, and this pile is just waifu art sleeves in the clear outers. Now, the shuffle feel, it feels great. It honestly is fine. You have that textured, I don't know if this will pick up. The scratching I'm trying to do isn't picking up, but there is a texture there, and it's nice. It's not too grainy of a texture, but it still has a good feel to it in the fingers. And then the shuffle feel for the cards is very nice. Now, my biggest complaint that I have with DragionShields, and if you've watched my other sleeve videos, you will know that DragionShield sleeves are not my favorite because they're too big. And some people like that because the sleeves, it gives a little bit more room for the card so they don't get damaged, which is fine. I totally get it. But the oversleeves here are huge. And they're designed this way to sleeve your DragionShields. Now, the only reason I would see that you're sleeving your DragionShields is if you are playing, Commander with very expensive cards, not proxies. You want to make sure that they are triple sleeved for that ultimate protection, right? And you're most likely going to be using a good inner sleeve, such as DragionShields or potentially GameGenic. Even Ultimate Guard has really good inner sleeves, and then you have, your DragionShield sleeve, and then your DragionShield outer sleeve. But the problem I have with that is I am using this to protect my waifus, and in order to protect my waifus, I want to make sure that these sleeves are perfect. Now, with the DragionShield sleeves, they're not my favorite because of the size, and I'll show you here. I'm just going to kind of make sure that these are at the bottom. And we're going to look here, and you can see this extra space from the sleeve where it ends on the inside to the excess of here. So I can almost bend this down, and you can see that it's, I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch or so. Probably not even that. I should honestly get some sort of tape measure for these videos, but there's a lot of extra space here, and I don't like that. What I did to kind of compare is I took 4 DragionShield sleeves and I put them in the 4 oversleeves that we are reviewing in this video. Now, this is a DragionShield outer sleeve with a DragionShield sleeve on the inside. And you can see by comparison the extra space between the sleeves. Again, it's a very, very minute amount, but I personally only think that you should be buying the DragionShield outer sleeves if you like that extra space, which is honestly quite a lot. I'm not a fan of this extra space. Or you are sleeving your DragionShield sleeves. But it is entirely up to you. Ultimately, I think they are good sleeves, and you know, if you want to spend $14 on 100 outer sleeves, by all means, be my guest. I did for the sake of this video, but I will not be using these, just because I don't like the size of the sleeves. Now, what I do want to show you is a tear apart test, just to see if they stand up to that DragionShield quality that everybody knows and loves when we tear them or stretch them. Now we're just going to get a good finger here on each side and just rip it apart. And you can see it did eventually tear down the seam, which is where you'd want it to, but there's a good chunk of bend. It's kind of hard to tell with these sleeves. A good chunk of bend before it actually tore. So for those people who are doing cube or something like that, where they're triple sleeving their cards and they want to make sure that there's enough space for their sleeves, I think this is a good option. Not a good option for me, because I don't need that many sleeves and I don't like the extra space. But I do think that if you are using DragionShields, you know, maybe special edition DragionShields or special art DragionShields, these might be the best bet for you, because they do not have a lot of extra space when you are sleeving DragionShield sleeves, which is kind of nice. Alright, so another quick note that I wanted to make about the DragionShields, and if you're sleeving them like special edition DragionShields, this one is the DragionShield in a DragionShield outer. These ones are not. But again, if you want that extra space for your cards so they don't get damaged or anything, you can go with the DragionShields and the outer to sleeve your DragionShields. But these other options that we're going to review, you can see that there's not a lot of room between the DragionShield sleeve of where it ends. So this is pretty much right on the edge. The same with these ones here, and then these GameGenic ones. So if you want to use like special edition DragionShields, but you do want to keep them oversleeved, you can go with your DragionShield outers. But the other options aren't so bad if you don't want that extra room for the sleeves. So just keep that in mind as we kind of review the rest of these sleeves in the video. DragionShields on DragionShields, pretty good idea. But if you don't want DragionShield outers, give these other ones a shot. Alright, so the next on our list is going to be, I would say, probably the most used outer sleeve, and that's going to be KMC's character sleeve guard, card barrier, however many names they have, sleeves. Now these are their matte clears, and it's 60 sleeves, 61 depending on if you're lucky and you get an extra one like I did. 60 sleeves for $9.99 at my local game store. Now, I did find these on Amazon. I purchased them on Amazon for about $8. However, when I received them, because they are imported, they were severely damaged and had a oily water sort of liquid inside the actual packaging. So I returned those, and I was lucky enough to find these at my local game store. So if you can find these without spending the overcharged prices on TCG Player, and you can get it from your local game store, I'm not going to recommend Amazon just based on my recent experience. These are a good sleeve to get, just because a lot of people will recommend KMCs to protect your waifus with. Now, as for the texture here, it is a soft matte back, and the texture, it's not bad. Like, I would say it's not as grainy as the DragionShield sleeves, which you might like, and then there's just a clear front, so it's not reducing sort of the foiling effect or the art. So you want to show off your waifu on the back and on the front, so you want to make sure that your sleeves are clear. Now, as for the shuffle feel, I've used KMCs in the past just because I have a lot of waifu sleeves, and I used KMCs before my favorite LGS started producing wrappers. Now, I don't really have any complaints about KMCs besides the fact that they are imported and a little bit harder to get a hold of just because they're imported, and sometimes, you know, if you're going on like TCG Player to buy them, those prices, you're paying the imported tax that people like to charge for them. Now, the shuffle feel, it's fantastic. I've used these. I've put them through hell in the past. This is a new pack, of course, so I don't really have major complaints about these. They're worth the money if you can find them for about the price that I did, which is going to be about 10 bucks. I think 10 bucks for 60 sleeves is a steal, especially if you are sleeving, you know, Weiss Schwartz or One Piece or Digimon. You're sleeving, you know, 10 cards, and then you have about 10 extra sleeves to, you know, utilize when these eventually get ruined from just natural wear and tear, which is really nice. And then, you know, if you want to use these for Magic, and you're sleeving, you know, DragionShields, if you buy 2 packs, you're getting 120, which is nice because you can maybe sleeve some tokens, or, you know, just because of the size of that deck, they might break a little bit easier just from the wear and tear. You have 20 extra sleeves, so pretty good deal when you're getting 60 sleeves versus, you know, spending $14 for 100 sleeves for the DragionShields. Now, let's do the stretch test, the rip test, whatever we're going to call it here. I just have this extra one, and we're just going to check the feel and see how it holds up. Okay, that quite literally just tore. The sleeve itself didn't even stretch before the seam came undone. Unlike our DragionShield, where it stretched and then the seam came undone. So if you're worried about the stretching of your sleeves, if you're someone like me who changes their decks a lot, has a lot of decks, and is constantly changing their sleeves, and you're, you know, putting sleeves in and out, in and out, in and out, these may not be the best for you because they're not going to stand up to the test of time. I can also see it being an issue because I've ran into it in the past where if you're sleeving in a weird angle, you can actually jam the cards into the bottom. And if you put a little bit too much force, like you saw I did with the stretch test, you can just simply split the sleeve through the seams just by shuffling. So you got to be a little bit careful, I guess, when you are shuffling with these. You know, you don't want to sleeve in the opposite way like this, because you're going to run into this problem where the cards are going into the sleeves and you might ruin them. My wife shuffles like that, so I don't have her use over sleeves anymore. So overall, KM sleeves, if you can get them for a good price, they're definitely worth the money, but I would be very cautious as they may not stand the test of time. You might end up spending more on them as you use them more. Alright, so the third one on our roster here is going to be GameGenic sleeves. Now, if you've seen my previous video, or you would like to see my previous video, check in the top here. I talk about GameGenic's matte prime sleeves, and I think they're the best sleeves that I've ever used. So I was really hopeful when I found out that they did outer sleeves. Unfortunately, I was severely disappointed for multiple reasons. So MSRP for these, if you can find them at MSRP, is $3.99. That's a pretty good deal. However, I paid double that at my local game store, which I'm a little salty about, but it's okay. They gotta make money. I supported them by buying some products, so it's all right. But I don't think these are worth $8. I do think these are worth about $4.50, you know, with tax. But I don't think these are $8 sleeves. If I'm gonna spend $8, I'm gonna buy wrappers, or I'm gonna spend a little bit more to get KMCs. Now, my problem with these is they are matte on the front and the back, and there is no texture on either side. It is smooth on both sides, which is, if you're used to playing with art sleeves don't have a texture to them unless, you know, excluding DragionShield arts, we're not counting those. they don't have a texture. So art sleeves, your beautiful waifus, they don't have a texture on them, which is fine, but it's annoying to shuffle with, and being waifu sleeves, they're not cheap. You want to protect them, and you want to make sure that you're protecting your investment, along with your waifu. So the shuffle feel of these is terrible. Just because there's not that texture to one side of the card. Now, they're not terrible to shuffle by any means. They're just not what we are used to, I guess is what we're going to call it. The shuffle feel is fine, I guess, but ultimately, if you're used to using any other type of sleeve, or KMC sleeves, these are not going to be for you. You're not going to like them. I honestly, I opened these and I was just like, these are gross. I messaged my buddy and I was like, these are the worst sleeves that I've ever used. Obviously, that's probably not true. I've used some pretty terrible sleeves in my lifetime, but these are not my go-to option for shuffle feel, and for the fact that it is matte front and matte back. And what I mean by that is, if you have beautiful foiling on some of your cards, I know there's one in here somewhere. If you have beautiful foiling on some of your cards that you want to show off, because who doesn't like showing off beautiful foils, these are not the sleeve for you. Can you tell if this is a foil card? I hardly can. But if we take it out of the sleeve and we get rid of that matte, just watch this. Like if I can get it close up here, just watch the transition. Like, look at the color difference from the sleeve, and you can even see here from my hand the dulling effect of this matte. I don't even know what to call it. Matte finish? Yeah, matte finish. Like, look at that huge difference. And now you can see that there's some foil to the card. And even you can tell the sleeve itself, our beautiful waifu here, she is being dulled by the sleeve. So for $4.50, if you can find them at MSRP, I think they are worth it. Because honestly, $4 for these isn't bad. $4 for 50 sleeves. I got 51, so I'm going to stretch this one. It's a pretty good deal. They fit really nice and snug. A true fit to the actual sleeve itself, unlike my continuous griping of how large DragionShields are. These fit really nice and true to fit of the sleeve. Now, I think they're alright. If you can get them at a good price and you don't mind the matte finish on both sides, and you're really just looking to protect your cards and your sleeves, I don't think you can go wrong for $4.50. You know, you spend 10 bucks, maybe, you get 100 sleeves. That's a pretty good investment, in my opinion. But if you're spending $8 like I did, these are not $8 sleeves. Not at all. So let's do our stretch test here and see if GameGenic sleeves hold up to any sort of force that we're going to put them behind. For $4.50, or for MSRP $4, I'm not expecting much, to be entirely honest. I'm hopeful, I guess, but let's see. Oh wow! Holy moly! Okay, I actually had to put some major force behind that. More force went into tearing this sleeve than what went into tearing the DragionShield. You can kind of see here how warped this got before splitting versus our D-Shield sleeve. Like, this barely, I mean, it warped a little bit. It did better than our KMC for sure, but this, for $4, this is easily the most durable outer sleeve you can find. Like, this test alone actually makes me feel that it's a little bit of a steal for $4. I'm still upset about the matte front and back. All I hope is that GameGenic, if they continue to make outer sleeves, just put a texture. Just put a texture. Make them have a nice shuffle feel, a nice feel to where the texture is just there. Like every other sleeve. Take the texture on your matte primes, slap them on your outer sleeves, and I will gladly pay $8 for these. But for $4.50, I still think this is an absolute steal. Side note here, these are the only sleeves that don't have the sort of slipperiness to them. As we can kind of see here with my KMCs and my DragionShields, they are not lying flat. They're actually lying at an angle because they are sliding. Now if I just do this, we can see them slide, right? However, these eventually slide, but they actually aren't as slippery. And these are all brand new, barely shuffled outside of just, you know, quickly getting a shuffle feel before recording this video. So something to keep in mind if you know, maybe you're sleeving your DragionShields, maybe you're sleeving a commander deck with some beautiful waifu sleeves, and you don't want your cards sliding all over the place. I don't think you can go wrong with GameGenic Outer Sleeves, besides the matte and the texture. Alright, last one. Let's see how we're doing. Alright, so the last one is going to be wrappers. Now this is a brand that you've probably never heard of before, but that is because it is a brand from one of my favorite local game stores. I go to this game store for a lot of things, a lot of products, really good guys, and really good community. Now, they have wrappers, and if you haven't seen my video about these, you can check it up in the top right over here, where they have inner sleeves and outer sleeves. And I use these on everything. Every deck with waifu art is sleeved in these. I used to use KMCs, but then they made these, and you can truly tell that a lot of thought and care went into these. Now, I'm not sponsored by any means, or, you know, whatever you want to say. I'm simply just supporting my local game store, and they happen to have some of the best outer sleeves that are easily available for me to get, because I can just go there and buy them. So we're going to take a look at these. Now, wrappers, they are 50 count sleeves, and you're spending about $8. Now, if you want them from your website, because you're not going to be able to get them at other game stores, you are going to have to pay some shipping in that. I don't know what their shipping costs are, but just keep that in mind. If you know, you watch this video and you're like, "Ooh, I want to try some wrappers," you're going to have to pay a little bit of shipping fee, which is kind of understandable, right? They gotta ship the product out to you, so it's going to cost more than $8. But the sleeves themselves, $8 for 50. Now, the texture of these is very similar to the DragionShields, where it is a grainy texture on one side and then a clear non-textured side. They call it frost matte on one side and clear on the other, which is great. You want that texture, you want that shuffle feel, right? What I just complained about with the GameGenic sleeves, these are the opposite. They have, I would say, better texture than the DragionShields and the KMCs. They are a very, very true to fit sleeve. Now you can see here the standard art sleeve is like the sleeve itself. I can't actually like push this in anymore. Like that is as far as that sleeve is gonna go, and this is right on the edge there, which is great. I personally like having sleeves that are a true fit versus having all that extra space. Now the shuffle feel is amazing. I can't complain about the shuffle feel. I don't play with this deck ever because I don't play Weiss. I bought this because it's Chisato. She's one of my favorite waifus, and I love Licorice Recoil. Now the shuffle feel for these is really great. They're not very slippery. They're great feel in the hand, and when you set them down, they don't go sliding all over the place. Perfect, right? That's what we want in our sleeves. We don't want to play Jenga. We want to set our cards down and be ready to go. All right, stretch test. Oh, look at that. The sleeve's actually already torn. No wonder it was looking all funky. Let me grab... Ah, I had one here. Okay. Here we go, and it tore. So this tore honestly a little bit easier than the KMCs, and the KMCs tore really, really easily. So if you are worried about your sleeves durability, you may not want to get the wrappers. However, I still think that they are a great sleeve. and it's nice supporting my local game store getting these sleeves. So if you're in the market for a good outer sleeve, I think you should give wrappers a shot. Alright, so in conclusion, which outer sleeve do I think is the best bang for your buck? Now, we tested 4 different sleeves, all with ranging price points and honestly different amount of sleeves that you were getting. Which one do I recommend that you go out and spend your money on? Personally, if I had to choose between all of these, I would still go with wrappers. Wrappers are the best texture feel, the best shuffle feel, kind of goes along that. They're a great price. I don't know what they cost for shipping, so if the shipping is a lot, then maybe try and find an alternative. The great price though, you're getting 50 sleeves for $8, and you're supporting a non-big name brand. Now, if wrappers weren't in this picture, right, I would go with KMCs. I think KMCs are probably the reigning champion of outer sleeves. My biggest problem with KMCs is going to be the price point, and honestly how long it may take to get these sleeves. Because they are imported, you can do what I did and get them from Amazon and receive just a completely terrible product and then have to go through the troubles of returning it, or you can go through TCG Player at much higher prices. If you're lucky, you might find a local game store that carries them. If so, please get them. Support your local game store, get these sleeves because I think they're great. If KMCs are not in your local game store or in an area that you can easily access them, I'm honestly gonna have to go with the GameGenic sleeves. Even though they don't have a texture feel on either side, and they're a matte on the front and back, which is dulling the card art and the sleeve art, I don't think you can go wrong with these sleeves if you can get them at MSRP, which is about $4. If you can find them for $4, buy them all. I think it is this absolute steal for these sleeves. They were the most durable, and yes, the shuffle feel isn't terrible when you have the no texture on the side. And there go my sleeves. When you have no texture, I think these are great. For $4, easily the best sleeves that you can protect your waifus with. But if you want to spend a little bit more money, then try and get wrappers, try and get KMCs, because that little bit of money, even if you're paying for shipping costs, is going to go a long way, because you're getting maybe not the most durable sleeves, but you're getting true to fit for both instances, and you're getting frosted texture on one side and clear on the other side. So your art of your waifus on the front and back just looks pristine. So do yourself a favor, protect your waifus. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, let me know what sleeves you use down below, and I'll see you next time.